So right there, you have a big stress buster is understanding that you have the power to stop, take a breath, observe, and then choose the wisest and healthiest response.
This is Dental All Stars, where we bring you the best in dentistry on marketing, management, and training. Here's your host, Alex Nottingham.
Welcome to Dental All Stars. The topic of this podcast is your StressBuster Tool Kit, and our guest is Piero Falci. Piero is an author and educator. He teaches mindfulness, meditation, and mindful living. He has written several books, including the highly praised 3-book series Mindfulness for a Better Mind, Life, and World. And he has created a variety of courses on how to apply mindfulness for the improvement of overall well-being and enjoyment of life. Please welcome Piero.
I'm happy to be here, Alex, and thank you for this opportunity to share the StressBuster Tool Kit. I love the title.
Yes, and selfishly, I would like to learn some because I'm a very active achiever and stress comes my way. And I'm sure many of our listeners encounter stress and we're like, yeah, I like to reduce some stress and increase the happy stuff. So you're a mindfulness expert and teacher. And for the purposes of this podcast, some of your history, you were in the corporate world. You were a corporate consultant, trainer, speaker. You had an epiphany and you said, enough of this. I'm going to be a meditation guy and mindfulness person. So you went from the dark side to the light side. So help us who are still in the dark here, who are still dealing with stress. What do we do? What are some tactics that you can help us with?
I'll help you with that. I'll help you with that. But to be honest with you, it wasn't really an epiphany. It was at one point was the epiphany, but moving away from the corporate world, I was a corporate executive and I was working for a multinational company for many years and doing business in Latin America and the Caribbean. And then there was a moment that the company that I was working for went through a process of merger and acquisition. And then there was the normal corporate downsizing. And then you stay for 1 year. And then they say, thank you very much. We don't need your work anymore. And to make this long story short, I went to another corporation that went through merger and acquisition and again downsizing. And then I said, okay, enough of that. Excuse me. I'm going to do something else. And then I entered the world of mindfulness. I like to say, Alex, that I teach mindfulness, meditation, and mindful living. Many times you see all over the place people saying, come to this studio and learn mindfulness and meditation. But I think that to make it more precise, the language more precise, it's important to differentiate what exactly are we talking about. So I like to say that there is the techniques of mindfulness, and I call this mindfulness meditation. I call the practice. And mindful living, I call the game. So you practice some techniques, you learn some strategies, some tools of the StressBuster Tool Kit, and then you apply them in your life. And you make your life better and you make the other people's lives better. But because you, instead of reacting mindlessly, you start to respond more mindfully, more thoughtfully. You expand the time between receiving a stimulus and choosing a response. So right there, you have a big stress buster is understanding that you have the power to stop, take a breath, observe, and then choose the wisest and healthiest response. So I like to say, again, that mindfulness meditation is the practice and mindful living is the game. It's almost like you practice meditation. It can be sitting meditation. It can be so many other techniques that we teach, body scan, some breathing techniques as well. I'm not going to go there because there's a universe of techniques that you can learn under this umbrella of mindfulness meditation. So you come and you practice as if you come to a basketball court or a tennis court. I know that you are a tennis player, and you practice. You practice the, how do you call, the forehand, the backhand, the and all the other, the volley, and all the other how do you call, strokes?
Mm-hmm.
The tennis strokes, right? So you practice this with the coach, with the teacher, with the instructor. But then the game time comes. So it doesn't matter if you did very well during the practice. What really matters is the game. And so for me, it's not important if you meditate very well, because you're not meditating to become an excellent meditator. You are meditating to improve the quality of your life, to apply what you have learned during meditation during the other moments of your life when you are not formally meditating. So that's the difference between mindfulness meditation and mindful living, and mindfulness meditation being the practice and mindful living being the game. You understand
That makes
that,
a
right?
lot of sense. I like
Yeah.
that because it's teach me, or this is the newest meditation technique. Oh, great. Or this other technique, but we're missing the point. The point is we'd like to live a happier life, more peace of mind. That's our outcome. So it's the game. I would even say it's the container mindful living. It's the container. It's a even more. It's a vision. It's a aspiration that I like to live a life with more ease and lightness. That's my objective. So in business, we call that a strategy. Okay. Then you go down to tactics. What are the tactics? What are the instruments that we use to fulfill the strategy? Because if we're using meditation to, just one up something, whether it might be I got to perform better for this one instant, we're using a technique, but we're missing the bigger effect. We don't have, and often, look, I train the dentist on not focusing on the tactics only, but on the big picture. What's your outcome? Even when I work with Tony Robbins, my mentor, he always say, RPM, what's your outcome? What's your result that you're looking to achieve? And then you start looking at the tactics. So the result is here, we like to reduce stress. We like to, I think everybody would like to have more peace of mind and more happiness, right? So that's the outcome. And then, also I'll throw into this discussion, MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. That is really the StressBuster Tool Kit. And I know I'll put a link to that below. We'll talk about it at the end. But you teach an online course that was developed in university to be able, that has been proven in studies to help reduce their stress. It's not, what's the word? It's secular, meaning it's not religious of any sort. It's science-based techniques with the goal of, right? The container is reducing stress, increasing happiness. And then there are multiple techniques to be able to achieve that. So just to give me a little, maybe you can use this as a StressBuster toolkit as a framework. What are some areas of technique? What are some ways to just say, okay, give me a big picture of the toolkit, you can MBSR, what does that look like? So I go, okay, breathing, give me an idea for the novice.
Okay. So you are going to be, so there's an operational definition of mindfulness. We say mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose to whatever is happening in the present moment without rushing to judgment, but with an open-hearted curiosity. So if we unpack this, the first thing is that you are going to train yourself to pay attention. But you say, well, I pay attention. Well, not really. We go through life most of the time, almost like sleepwalking through life, in an automatic pilot, if you will. So what you develop with the mindfulness training is the ability to be awake, so you're not sleepwalking, to be alert, meaning that you are able to know what's going on in my environment, to be attentive, meaning that I can focus on the task at hand without distracting myself, to be appreciative of the good things that I have in my life. And so these are some of the qualities that you develop to be awake, alert, attentive, appreciative in order to be fully alive. You want to be present. Sometimes we say that a good life is a collection of good moments, but if we are not present to what is happening in our lives, these moments go by unnoticed, and you do not collect these good moments. So one of the techniques, for instance, and I'm going to go back to the definition of mindfulness, but one of the techniques that we do to appreciate more life and to collect these good moments, I call NASA. NASA, from the same acronym as National Aeronautics and Space Administration, but in this case, NASA stands for Notice, Appreciate, Savor, and Absorb. So notice, with mindfulness, you are training yourself to notice. Notice the people in your life, notice the taste of the tomato that you're eating, notice the breeze on your skin, notice the mood of your patient, whatever, the people that you are interacting with. So notice, appreciate. That's a special moment, a unique moment. Life is happening in the present moment. So going back to the definition, mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention to the present moment. Why do we pay attention to the present moment? Because life is really happening moment by moment. Whatever happened in the past, when it happened, it actually happened in the present moment, then in the present moment. And whatever is happening in the future, or whatever will happen in the future, when it happens, it will also happen in that present moment. So life is always happening in the present moment. This is it right now that I'm having this conversation with you. This is my life right now. So I bring attention for this conversation, for this interaction that is happening right now. And I try to notice, appreciate, savor, and absorb. So savor is, okay, this is an opportunity for me to talk a little bit of something that I am passionate about, that is mindfulness, and to be with such a great host that is Alex. So I'm savoring all this. And the absorption is something that we do to activate neural pathways. So everything, as you said, the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, is a program that is evidence-based. So there's a lot of research that shows the activity in the brain, the synapses, the neural connections. So to absorb is to give time for the neurons to wire together. There is a quote that says, neurons that fire together, wire together. So you notice something good, and you're noticing this, you're appreciating, you're savoring it. But in order to absorb, you have to give time for the neural connection to happen. So we say, one way of doing this, a way that I have created, I say, oh, this feels good. And then there is a reflexive moment that I say, oh, this is how feeling good feels like. It's not only saying, oh, this breeze feels good. And then you pause and say, this is how feeling good feels like. What you're doing is just creating an opportunity for you to notice the good. What happens then? The more you notice the good, the more you will be prone to notice the good. So if you are a complainer, a grumpy person that is complaining all the time, criticizing all the time, you're training some neural pathways that are going to make you very good. You're going to be a master complainer. You're going to be the grumpiest person around because you keep repeating that habit, that mental habit. But if you start noticing the good, noticing, appreciate, savoring, and absorbing, you're going to notice more. So Ellen Langer, for instance, says that mindfulness is a training that allows you to see the new in the old, to see the unusual in the usual, and to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. So life becomes rich. Even the most ordinary thing, like drinking coffee, just holding the cup in your hands, feeling the warmth of the cup of coffee, smelling the scent, if you will, the smell of the coffee. It's become so rich, right? So that's one technique. So mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention. So this is the training. The training is mind wanders, bring it back to this moment. Don't get so lost in the worries of the future, anticipating the future. Mark Twain has said, I have faced many, he said, I'm an old man and I have faced many great troubles. The majority of them never happened. So what's interesting is that we are catastrophizing, we're anticipating bad things to happen because this is how the brain works. The brain works like Velcro for the negative and like Teflon for the positive. So what we register are the negative events in our lives. So we are preparing ourselves to the future dangers as well. So if you think about your day, at the end of the day, you had 16 beautiful hours with pleasant events happening, but you had one unpleasant event. And most likely, this is what you're going to be thinking at the end of the day. That 5 minutes of an interaction that wasn't very pleasant, right? But you forget the other 15 hours and 55 minutes that went very well. So what is negative sticks like Velcro, but what is positive slides away as if it were on a Teflon surface. So do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was thinking that exactly when you were saying NASA, which I remember you taught a few of your courses that I was able to enjoy. I notice sometimes, definitely when there's happiness that arises, and there are days that just feel great, and I'm noticing them. Of course, there's a voice like, this can't last. I'm aware. But I also say, while it's here, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm really going to get into it. I'm going to really, like a pig in mud. Or my dog on the, likes to roll around her back all over the grass. And when times are more difficult, there's a voice go, oh, it's going to be like this forever. But then I remember, I've had all those experiences, days, even weeks or months of feeling great. And I say, you have it. You have it there. And that wiring kicks in. And it's mind training is what's going on. So I really like how because of course, I'm the tactician at some times. I'm like, give me all the cheat codes. What's the cheat code? What's that meditation? And what's interesting is, I heard a friend of mine does a meditation and it really relaxes him. But then once the meditation is over, you're back to where you are. So yes, it's a nice technique, but if you're still the same person, then the same neuroticism and neurotic behavior will occur. And so what I'm hearing you say is, step one, you can do all the breathing you want, you can do all the meditation practices, and you probably have a whole list. But if you don't have the outcome properly, if you don't have the point of it, that we're training our mind to be more positive, and the studies show you can do that, neuroplasticity, then you're a more fertile ground to where more mindfulness practices and meditation practices and techniques can be of service. Otherwise, it's kind of like almost, you do a little walk around the park. Oh, I burned 100 calories and you have 5 donuts. It's like, not that that's bad. It's just, you kind of wash down all that effort. So it makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Perspective.
It's not a panacea, right? It's not a panacea. It's not going to work for everybody the same way. But I want to say something. The first thing that you mentioned is impermanence. You develop awareness of the impermanence of everything. So because you're paying more attention, you become very cognizant that, what is bad is not going to last forever. And unfortunately, what's good is not also going to last forever. But so quotes like, "This too shall pass," that is something that we hear. It's true. Everything passes. Everything that arises also passes away. So this is one thing. The other is, yes, we are afraid when happiness arrives. And so when we sabotage ourselves sometimes. We sabotage ourselves. So we have this plan, we put together all the resources, we prepare ourselves, and we are succeeding. And then we start to freak out, because we say, okay, if I am successful and if I reach my goal, then I may lose it. And then what's going to happen to me? So we sabotage ourselves when we are reaching the goal, and we sabotage ourselves after we reach the goal as well. So
Yep.
you built this beautiful practice and everything is going well, and you start to freak out. I mean,
Oh, it totally makes sense. It's the
correct?
fear of failure and the fear of success, because ultimately we have our comfort zone. And what is it? Hedonic adaptation.
Exactly.
Adaptation. We would
Hedonic
like to go
adaptation.
back where we're most comfortable. And if we're too high, it's going to bring us down. If we're too low, it's going to bring us down. So it's like, again, like building muscle. You're not going to build it if you stress it slowly and appropriately, that your body can handle the changes. So I love the perspective you gave, Piero. So much wisdom. And I'm going to put the link to your website for those that would like to learn more about MBSR. Tell me in 30 seconds, what is MBSR, and am I a good candidate for this type of training?
MBSR is the best way to start a mindfulness meditation practice that is going to be wonderful in your life. It's an 8-week course. We meet every week for 2.5 hours, and then you receive materials that you take home. You need to practice. You're going to listen to recordings, and you're going to do the practices: mindful eating, body scan, sitting meditation, walking meditation, so many of these practices that are going to make you more awake, alert, attentive, aware, appreciative, and alive, and are going to change your life. So you were saying that we meditate and then we screw. The moment we are in, how do you say, in cloud 9 while we are meditating, and then the moment that the meditation ends, we go into inferno. But, well, in reality, what you have to do is turn the switch on, the mindfulness switch on, and keep it on. Don't turn it off. So that's how you're going to bring mindfulness to your life, and you're going to be more present, and you're going to appreciate life more, and you're going to make the lives of those around you better.
I love that. It reminds me of a quote my uncle had taught me. I'm coming out with a book probably later this year, more likely next year, called My Uncle the Magician. And he said, if you make the world around you better, you make your world better. And essentially that the world is an illusion, it works by magic, and the magic is your perception. As you change your perception, you change your world. So thank you, Piero, for joining us. And remember to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Get episodes as they are released. Share with your friends. And until next time, go out there and be an all-star.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Dental All-Stars. Visit us online at allstardentalacademy.com.